Hello there, glad to have you join us on the news at 7 on NT International. I'm Lami Ali, and my sign language interpreter is Taiwo Uzoma. We begin with the headlines. Vice President Shettima meets Nigerian community in New York, reels out President Tinubu's achievements in last 2 years. Nigeria begins 65th anniversary celebration, hails resilient spirit of Nigerians. Also on the news, correspondent x-rays food wastages as United Nations marks International Day. Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in Frankfurt, Germany, after attending the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Before departing New York, Kashim Shettima assured Nigerians in diaspora of robust engagements under President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, aimed at positioning Nigeria in its rightful place in the community of nations, urging them to keep believing in their home nation. The Vice President, who graced the meeting with a cross-section of Nigerians in diaspora, highlighted that Nigeria is on the right path with the reforms undertaken under the renewed hope agenda. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Nigerians in the diaspora meeting the Vice President in New York on the sidelines of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly.
We need to come together, the private sector, the civil society, the government, the diaspora. Yes, indeed, we do have what it takes to make Nigeria a great country, and we will, by the grace of God.
For the Vice President to have taken that time to come and break it down for us, within our midst, it became very easy for us to see why all our efforts are not in vain. Nigeria is moving. Every government apparatus that attended this hunger, we engage them on global renew hope.
All we need is an inclusion, acceptance back home, because we have all the will, we have all the interest to go back home and give back at home.
Nigeria is the big brother to a lot of African countries. We are here to, build Sure Send as a remittance platform, not just to Nigeria, but also to Africa, to the world, Africans in Latin America, like the president is doing in Brazil and in Colombia. So there's an outreach for us in Nigeria to build a smarter SME platform to help bridge the gap within financial discrepancies.
And the Nigerian American community is the most upwardly mobile immigrant community in the United States.
Vice President Kashim Shettima commended the resilience and belief of Nigerians in the current government, noting their capacity to add value to the country's transformation efforts.
Are making progress. I always cite the case of a company, an oil palm company. It's called Presco. 2 years ago, Presco's share was going for 345, 400 naira. In the last 2 years, Presco's share grew by 247%. Dr. Ali Garba, go and buy Presco shares. For the first quarter of this year, Presco posted a profit of 58 billion naira. And this is just a microcosm of the larger Nigerian economy. So opportunities about. It might interest you to know, ladies and gentlemen, our foreign reserves is now hovering in the neighborhood of $42 billion. We have crossed the Rubicon, and we are on a path to sustain growth and stability.
When they all come together, we had a fantastic event this year. We also have the data mapping portal. And there are programs for you, for instance, the diaspora mortgage, where you can get 50 million naira mortgage to own your own homes. And we've created a portal where you don't need to be duped to own your own home. So many things for the diaspora under this administration.
He urged the Nigerian community, not just in the United States, but across the world, to be proud of their heritage, noting that the nation's positive development indices in all spheres of the Nigerian is a reflection of well-thought-out policies of the Tinubu administration. From New York, Abrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
In the midst of heavy uncertainty regarding the future of the nation, opposition in Cameroon took to the streets ahead of the presidential vote scheduled for October. The rallies demand several imperatives, including barring the incumbent from contesting owing to his age. Kulo Mohammed tells us more.
Opposition candidates in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, escalate their campaign efforts for the October 12th presidential elections, holding major rallies while incumbent President Paul Biya remains outside the country. Bello Buba Maigari of the UNDP and the Kabri Labi of the PCRN both held gatherings urging supporters to vote for rupture from the status quo. At over 90 years of age, the opposition feel Paul Biya, the incumbent president, is not in the right frame of mind to remain as president of the country. They believe there is a president at large who rules the nation from behind, as they believe Paul Biya is no longer in charge. They added that he only bears the name president ceremonially, as the person calling the shots as to how the country is administered is not known to the rest of the world. In other news, the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, has announced that he is abandoning his re-election bid after failing to gain momentum against Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, a self-described socialist who has been fiercely criticized by U.S. President Donald Trump.
The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign.
Eric Adams said, despite all he has achieved, he cannot continue his re-election campaign. Kulo Mohammed, NTA News.
Fire has burnt a third of the vast Etosha National Park in Namibia. The park is home to 114 species of mammals, notably the critically endangered black rhinoceros, and a major tourist attraction. The presidency said in a statement that it has deployed 500 soldiers to help fight the fire in one of Africa's largest game reserves. An unknown number of wildlife had been killed. The blaze had spread into some communal areas, though no human casualties have been reported. Approximately 30% of the grazing in the park has been destroyed by the fire. The park stretches across 22,270 square kilometers, and its main feature is the ancient Etosha salt pan, which is around 130 kilometers long and 50 kilometers wide. Now, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has recognized Nigeria's advancements in seed production. Seeds produced in Nigeria will now receive certification for trading in international markets. Musa Baba Aliu has the details.
Nigeria has been granted membership in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, the world's most recognized seed certification body. The country also served as the secretary of the OECD Africa Forum 1 year after joining the international organization. Representatives of the OECD are currently in Nigeria and have met with the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security alongside officials from the National Agricultural Seed Council.
Is to contribute to providing high-quality seeds to your farmer, so to contribute to food security for Nigeria, but also to contribute to the economic growth of your country.
Plant the right seed.
The minister presented the federal government's vision and mission for seed production to the visitors.
With our food security situation, we're interested in ensuring that we're doing all year-round farming, which means even in our varietal selection or development, we must begin to look at the needs of our farmers in the field. We want to do more irrigation, and of course we have to have varieties that are more attuned to the irrigation production system.
Nigeria is ranked as the largest seed producer and distributor in West Africa, actively involved in training seed actors from neighboring countries, including the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Rwanda, and Liberia. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
There is a rising global concern about how tons of food are wasted daily while millions of people go to bed hungry. Most of the food wastage occurs during harvest and leftovers from meals. This informed the rationale behind the setting aside of September 29th each year by the United Nations to raise awareness about food management and preservation. Musa Baba Aliu tells us more about the day and what the situation is like in Nigeria.
This is common in almost every eatery and restaurants where people order food they cannot finish. The leftovers are thrown into the garbage.
People fetch food because they feel very hungry, that they cannot finish. Yeah. So at the end of the day, they end up not finishing it. And instead of them to keep it in the fridge and save it for later, they will just keep it anyhow they want to keep it, and at the end of the day to go to waste.
Records show that approximately 1.05 billion tons of food are wasted annually around the world, which is enough to feed millions of hungry people. Apart from food, tons of agricultural produce, including fruits like oranges, watermelons, tomatoes, and mangoes, end up in a refuse dumps like this one. For example, this truck transported over 500 bags of oranges from Benue State to Zuba in Abuja, covering a distance of 280 kilometers. Upon uploading, 70% of the oranges were found to be spoiled or rotten. What you see here are scavengers carefully selecting the oranges they believe are still edible. Abubakar and Umar shared that just last week, over 250 bags of fruits were lost in the market due to spoilage.
Every year, Nigeria loses an estimated $10 billion in post-harvest losses due to poor storage, weak infrastructure, and limited processing. Beyond this, farmers confront the growing threats of climate change, droughts, floods, soil degradation, regular pest infestation, and erratic rainfall.
Agricultural experts believe that reducing food waste decreases costs and builds more resilient food systems. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Nigeria's economy and culture has always been tied to the pulse of its great rivers, and the federal government has issued a strong call for urgent measures to protect them from pollution owing to increasing threats from flooding, industrial waste and climate change. Marking the 2025 World Rivers Day with the theme, Clean Rivers, Healthy Communities, Usman Zubairu reports that the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsef, urged citizens and state governments to prioritize river conservation.
From the confluence in Lokoja to the delta's tidal mangroves, Nigeria's rivers are the lifeblood of millions. They provide food, transportation, and spiritual connections. Yet at a critical juncture, unregulated sand degrading and unchecked plastic pollution are choking these historical channels, transforming life-giving arteries into ecological danger zones. Lawal Mekifi and Bitrus are fishermen at Wupa village, Besa community in Abuja. They said before their net will be full of fish after a few hours. Now there are more plastic bottles and weeds than fish. You will put your fish nets, but unfortunately water pollution and other human activities will not allow you catch more fish.
Government and stakeholders that our river is not what to be taken for granted. We should hold it the way we hold ourselves, because there's after air, what next is water.
At a press briefing in commemoration of the day, Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation Professor Joseph Utsef said the ministry has advanced several key interventions that align with the day's theme, including tree planting and river cleanups. River business development authorities across the country are also making with similar exercise, underscoring their roles as a frontline custodian of Nigeria's river.
We must continuously advocate for integrated urban planning approaches that recognize the link between sanitation, drainage, and climate resilience.
World Rivers Day is set aside across the globe to draw attention to the world rivers that are in degraded state and facing increasing pressure associated with pollution, industrial development, urbanization, and climate change, mostly due to the human activities. In Abuja, Usman Zubairu, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. Let's take a break. We will be back shortly. Do stay. You're welcome back. Nigeria's spirits will continue to remain high and unbroken as a nation after 6 decades. Nigeria's resilience was the focus by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Judge Akume, at the World Press Conference commemorating Nigeria's 65th anniversary celebration. Shehu Muhammad Dati reports.
Beyond speeches, the World Press Conference is a forum that provides Nigerians and stakeholders an opportunity to come together and celebrate the nation's independence, reflecting on the theme of the 65th anniversary, calling for all hands on deck to consolidate on the nation's progress.
The renewed hope agenda has become the guiding framework for transforming Nigeria. It is an agenda that speaks to national rebirth, inclusivity, and sustainable progress, thereby providing hope for our people, especially the youth, who represent the future of this nation.
The briefing captured key issues shaping Nigeria's development, including economy, security, and social justice.
We are all aware of the economic reforms initiated by this administration. They are bold and imaginative, but sometimes difficult, but necessary steps aimed at stabilizing our economy, restoring investor confidence, and laying a foundation for long-term growth.
At 65, Nigeria is more than a number. Today's World Press Conference and earlier activities have set the tune for October 1st, 2025 anniversary. In Abuja, I'm Shehu Muhammad, NTA News.
Messages of hope, unity and patriotism were re-echoed as the enduring principles that Nigerians should continue to imbibe as the President Tinubu administration is repositioning the country for a greater future. At a World Press Conference as part of activities on Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary, Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris gives account of stewardship of the federal government within the last 28 months. Salihu Gwanara reports.
This briefing is before the President's October 1st broadcast, as the government spokesman, Mohammed Idris, did not speak from imagination, but from facts and figures he collated as a coordinator of the ministerial press briefings and leader of the federal government communication team that is constantly visiting project sites across the country.
Since our independence from Great Britain, we are all witnesses to the remarkable reforms taking shape at a pace never seen in the history of this country. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, is doing the needful. He is committed, he is courageous, and is also a visionary leader that is gradually dismantling the stubborn clogs in the wheel of our national progress.
Transforming the economy, education, road and rail infrastructure, energy, solid minerals, health, and the equitable distribution of capital projects across the country are all reforms for national renewal.
We need all hands to be on deck to consolidate on the gains of the last 2 years plus, even as we march boldly towards the Nigeria of our dreams. We fully acknowledge your sacrifices and your understanding, especially in the last 28 months. As President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has worked tirelessly to steady the ship, it is now time for the entire country to reap the fruit of the seeds of reform that have been painstakingly planted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his administration in the last 28 months. Ladies and gentlemen, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is working for you. This administration is listening to you. It is also committed to ensuring that no Nigerian is left behind in our march towards progress and prosperity.
At 65, the administration assured to pride itself by strengthening Nigeria's role in safeguarding democracy within and across the continent.
Stakeholders at this briefing agreed that Nigeria at 65 is still work in progress. But under the renewed hope, Nigerians are assured of better days ahead.
In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Now, the Federal High Court Abuja Division has declared as illegal, unlawful and unconstitutional the plan by a former presidential candidate, Professor Patu Tomi, to establish a shadow government in Nigeria. The presiding judge, Justice James Omotosho, gave the order while delivering verdicts on a suit filed by the Department of State Services against Pat Utomi. Justice Omotosho restrained Pat Utomi and his associates from proceeding with their plan to establish a shadow government or cabinet in the country. Justice Omotosho declared the concept of shadow government or that of any cabinet as unconstitutional and an alien concept to the nation's presidential system of government. The court held that Utomi and his associates cannot hide under the rights of association and criticize the government to engage in unlawful activities. He commended the plaintiff for filing the suit and held, among others, that it was within the rights of the DSS to take steps to prevent acts capable of threatening the nation's internal security. Now, 57 worthy legal practitioners have been conferred with the rank of Senior Advocates of Nigeria with an admonition by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, for them to uphold and preserve the rule of law in the discharge of their responsibilities. Chukunonso Mwabweze reports.
The conferment, which is part of a special section of the Supreme Court of Nigeria marking the commencement of the 2025-2026 legal year of the Apex Court, provided an opportunity for the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, to highlight both challenges and successes recorded in the preceding year, expressing unwavering commitment to an efficient and effective judiciary.
With the continued cooperation of all stakeholders in the administration of justice, we remain committed to achieving even greater efficiency, deepening public confidence in the judiciary, and ensuring that the cause of justice is served with diligence, integrity, and fairness.
Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi SAN reaffirmed federal government's resolve to collaborate with the justice sector and other stakeholders in advancing reforms that will elevate the standard of justice delivery in Nigeria.
While our quest for judicial reform is not limited to infrastructure, digitization, and procedural efficiency, the reform must extend to our legal philosophy and culture, how we conceive, pursue, and achieve justice. It is our binding duty to continue to evolve a legal system that serves a modern and informed society. Those from rural or marginalized communities should be able to access the justice system at very little cost. The various rules of court must be amended to provide for e-filing, virtual hearing, and speedy dispensation of cases.
I want to plead to members of the National Assembly and to all stakeholders that we should find ways and means of normalizing, regularizing, and leveraging on that democracy. And by so doing, please let us excuse the courts.
The new senior advocates of Nigeria expressed their readiness to uphold ethical standards and best practices to sustain public trust in the profession.
The rank is a burden of leadership, is a burden of responsibility, is a burden of ensuring that the rule of law happens. And these are the things that I'll pay attention in the coming months, in the coming years, in the coming career.
I have opened my chest to admit and to also absorb any shocks. And by the grace of God Almighty, I will not fail. I will not shirk in my responsibilities.
Beyond the privileges that come with becoming a senior advocate of Nigeria, the task now before these new senior advocates of Nigeria is how they can utilize their elevation in contributing positively to the growth and development of Nigeria's legal system. From the Supreme Court, Abuja, I am Chukunonso Mwabweze, NTA News.
Empowering the girl child and creating a source of livelihood for vulnerable women will go a long way in addressing the high rates of poverty in Nigeria. The Julie Stott Foundation is strengthening the campaign with the distribution of clothing, sanitary materials, cash and other items to hundreds of vulnerable women and girls in Abuja. The event is to create a sense of belonging for the women and provide a livelihood for them to cater for their immediate families. The foundation is therefore calling on other Nigerians to develop the passion to help the needy as a way of reducing poverty in society.
We come usually every month, but the month of September is significant to us because our mother died in September. So we always and usually come out in September to reach out to women, vulnerable women, girl child, and so many in different communities. I want every woman and every girl child to know out there that your dreams are valid. You are unlimited. You can be anything and everything you want to be. And as our motto we say, girl child, your dreams are valid.
Fisheries say giving is a call that only people of good will answer.
2 or 4 in Nigeria, like 10. I don't think widow will be crying. I don't think less privilege will be crying. I don't think children will be crying.
What she wants in life, God will give her. God will bless her more for us and give her more life. And we thank her. I feel so happy. I'm very grateful.
The Julie Stott Foundation in the past years has empowered thousands of women and girls in many rural communities across Africa. Tuesday's weather forecast is next. And that ends the news at this time on NT International. We thank you for watching. Taiwo Ozoma has been the sign language interpreter, and I remain Lami Ali. Do have a good evening.